beer kit review time, and I'm going to do one from brewing right through to the finish and the tasting, and it's a new one from the Muntons range, and it's Courage Directors. You may have seen the bottle in your supermarket. I've definitely had it before. I've picked up the bottled version, so once the kit's brewed I'm going to do a taste off to see how well it compares to the commercial version of it. So it says on the back, it's a superior ale established in 1787, distinctly superior by name and nature. Courage Directors was originally brewed exclusively for the directors of the Alton Brewery until demand decreed that the most distinguished of beverages was to be made available to the rank and file. A good job too. The ruling class knew just what they were doing when they tried to keep its classic ales themselves. A rich chestnut-hued, full-bodied brew boasting a clean, bitter taste balanced with burnt orange peel notes and a dry hop aroma flavour. Directors is today as widely popular across the entire country as it is in its native heartlands. And I believe this is one of many kind of new ones that Muntons are bringing out in the coming months. And as soon as I saw it, I just had to grab it because I do love an odd kit every now and then. With Christmas slowly creeping up, it's an easy way to get some tasty beer on with minimal fuss. So I'm going to go through the brew process, but it's very easy. There's not really a lot of equipment that's required. It's pretty much a fermenting bucket to put the ingredients into. You're going to need an airlock to allow the CO2 to escape from the fermenting bucket. I recommend a thermometer to take the temperature, a hydrometer to check the gravity of the beer to make sure that it's finished. And then other than that, everything else you get in the kit just really needs to be added to the bucket with some hot water, stirred thoroughly, and then you add your yeast, leave it to ferment, and that is it. I'm going to go through the steps. So I've already got the cans that have been sitting into some hot water for a little while. As to put them on a tea towel or something. You can sterilise your tin openers. These tins are a little bit dense, so pick the best side to get the tin opener on. And it's just a case of having them. Make sure you use a tea towel or I've got some brewer's gloves there that are quite industrial, otherwise the tins can be quite hot. And once the malt extract inside the tins heats up, it can be quite sticky and burn your skin. Now this bucket's already been sterilised. I've used a no-rinse steriliser, just poured the last little dregs of that out, and then just pour these in. Now you do need to add, I think it is 6 pints of boiling water. So what I like to do is fill the tins up with that amount of water to wash out the last remaining malt extract from the tins. So I'm going to finish adding these, fill the tins up and chuck them back in, and then cut back to the next step. Right, so our tins are totally cleaned out. Boiling water has gone into both of them, and all the malt extract has gone into the fermenter. We've added our 6 pints of boiling water, and the next thing to do is get a whisk and just make sure that everything is stirred up. You don't want to be doing that after you've added the rest of the cold water, because it'll be harder to reach the bottom. You can end up with all the malt extract gathering at the bottom, and it just won't ferment out of it. It'll just all be stuck to the sides and the bottom of the fermenter. That's up to step 2 of the instructions that you get. There are minimal instructions because there really is not much to really do. Really, it's very simple. The last stage is to sprinkle the yeast onto the beer. I normally rehydrate my yeasts, but for the purpose of reviewing this kit, I'm just going to do exactly as the kit says. Leave to stand for 4 to 6 days in a warm place between 18 and 20 degrees. Fermentation will be complete when bubbles cease to rise. If you use hydrometer, when the gravity is below 10-14, then it's time to bottom. You do get one other thing in the kit, which is strange. It doesn't actually state it in the kit instructions, which I don't know if that's an oversight or a mistake, or the packet's a mistake. I'm not sure, but it's a Golding's hop powder, and it just says add complete sachet prior to the yeast. But I don't know. I mean, it says it on the packet, but maybe it should be in the instructions, possibly. I don't know, as another step. So once you've added that, you then add this. Once you've added the cold water, maybe it really doesn't say in the instructions from what I can see. So make sure you add that packet before the yeast and not the other way around, and get it all mixed in. That's probably just going to give it a little bit more hop profile and, you know, a bit more character to the beer. the malt extract is probably already a little bit hopped, or it might be plain, and this is the hopping addition, but who knows. So that has to be added. So what I'm going to do now is top it up to the, what are we topping up to? 20 litres or 20.5 litres of cold water to bring it up. Take the temperature, just make sure it's about the right temperature. I'll add that, stir that in. Okay, so we're at 20.5 litres, and then we're going to add the Golding's hop powder. It also says it's got maltodextrin and hop oil in there. It's just literally looks like a whitish powder and does smell quite hoppy, so I'm just going to sprinkle this in. Give it a good stir. And it's worthwhile giving it a really good stir at this point, just to get loads of oxygen in there, so that the yeast can get a good start. So you're not only just stirring that hop powder in, but helping the next stage. You can either get a whisk, or some people put the fermenter on the floor, and you can drop your cold water into the fermenting vessel, and that will generate lots of oxygen into the wort, ready for pitching the yeast. Right, I'm just going to sprinkle the yeast on top like it says. Put our lid on. Not airlock. Make sure the lid's firmly down, and that is it. And then store it somewhere that's going to maintain a temperature between 18 and 20 degrees for the next couple of weeks. I normally let my beers ferment out for a good couple of weeks to clean up, and that is it. I'll be cutting back. I'll take a sample off near bottling time just to check that the gravity's dropped. Probably won't show bottling day. Everyone's seen bottling. So the next part you'll probably see me doing a taste test, and hopefully in a couple of weeks' time we'll see how true to life the beer kit is to the commercial version. So this is going to be the final part of the Muntons Courage beer kit review, and I'm going to compare the commercial version and the beer kit that I've done from this kit. But before I do that, there's one little thing I wanted to cover. I didn't really show the bottling process because, you know, people might have seen it in other videos. It's, you know, it's very simple and what needed to be done, and I didn't want to kind of bog people down too much with showing the whole process. But there's one other thing that with it says in here on the instructions. There's only 4 segments to it. It says after 5 days and the gravity is below 1014, siphon the beer into a sterilised fermenting bin, leaving behind the yeast and sediment, which is what you've always done when you're brewing. Add a little sugar, half a teaspoon per pint, up to a maximum of 100 grams for a fermenter to help condition the beer. Stand the fermenter in a warm place between 20 and 24 degrees for 3 days, then bottle and keg as normal. I have to say, and that's something I've never done since I've been brewing. I can't understand why you add the primary sugar to a fermenter, leave it for 3 days, and then start bottling, because you're going to start creating the CO2, and before you bottle you'll have lost some of that. I did contact Muntons to find out. I haven't really found out as of yet. All I can say is that I added my priming sugar directly to the bottle. Either you can make a priming solution up with some boiled water, rack that into the bucket, add your beer onto that and bottle that way, or add priming sugar to each individual bottle. But I'm not too sure on the reasoning behind adding it to a fermenter, leaving it for 3 days before you bottle. So, you know, I'd go in with caution on that. But who's to say? Maybe there's a real legitimate reason for it, and if that does come to play, I'll update the video accordingly and put it down in the comments section, or record another little snippet to a video. But I just wanted to add that in there, because I know some people get these as beginners. They might read that, do that, and then you could end up with a slightly less carbonated beer. That, in my opinion, you possibly would, because you'll lose some of that CO2 that's generated in those few days between bottling time. But anyway, I won't bore you with the finer details of that. So the commercial version that you can get in pretty much most supermarkets and shops. And this one's a bit lively. don't think this is bottle conditions. I'm pretty sure it's not. No. Just whack that in there. And just grab. Now I won't lie, I have sampled one of these already, or maybe two. Colour's looking pretty much bang on, I'd say, but we'll see, we'll compare them in a second. This one will be bottle conditioned, so stop it about there. So that's the commercial. It always looks dark on this camera, so it's really hard to... I would say, not that you can really pick it up there, that this one is ever so slightly lighter. Clarity wise, they're both, well, commercial versions crystal clear, and I'd say the beer kit is quite clear as well. So we're going to go with the commercial first. There's a bigger head on that one. I'd say you get a more defined nose on that one than you do on the kit, but anyway. I haven't had that beer for a while actually, but it's pretty damn good. You definitely do get some of that kind of burnt orange peel kind of flavour they say that you get definitely with the commercial version. Right, and we're going to go with the homebrew one now. It's a very creamy head on that, so. It's not bad. I would say it's more kind of malty. I'm getting the orange a bit on that one as well, but I would say it's more on the malty side, whereas this has got more of a kind of a dry, bitter finish than the beer kit version. But when I first had this, it's got increasingly better over the weeks, and I think, as with all beer kits, even I'm not sure how long it says in the instructions to leave, but I would always suggest leaving a lot longer than they say, because they just get better and better. And also, if you're serving it from a barrel, I've got some in a keg, they often seem to taste a whole different than they do in a bottle. So I would say give it at least 2-3 weeks before you have your first one, because your first one you might be kind of a little bit disappointed, because I find with the beer kits they take a little while longer to kind of get to their ripe stage, and this is definitely getting there. It's definitely got a different body. Maybe the bottle conditioning's done that, I don't know. I'd say the commercial version is thinner than the beer kit version. Yeah, definitely more bitter. The bitterness is much more pronounced on that than this one is. This comes across, I think, probably just the inclusion of the malt extract that you get in the tins makes it that kind of a little bit more sweeter. Yeah, it's not too far off, but I reckon a bit more age on that, and it'll be pretty damn good. But to be fair, for the ease that it took to knock up I've already drunk, you know, when it was early doors, I drank 2 or 3 of these, and I thought that's not a bad kit actually, and it is okay. It's pretty damn good. Yeah, mine's slightly got a little bit of haze compared to this one, but that's to be expected from a commercial beer. Not bad. I have to say, it reminds me of my early days of, making beer kits. Not in a bad way, but just kind of in the, when you did some of your first beer kits, you were a little bit, is this, any good? And some of your later ones you did, and they were quite nice. And I've drunk quite a few of these. It's almost like an old friend, if you like, when you're tasting this. Not bad, I do say. So that has been the Muntons Courage, or Directors rather. Courage Directors. I do believe there's going to be another one, another Courage. I think it's the Courage Bitter that's coming out. I'm pretty sure it is. I know they've got a couple coming out soon because I've seen it advertised on a few websites and that. So be sure to grab one of these and give it a try. It's so easy to knock up, as you've seen in the video, and it makes a great beer. I've got 9 litres in a keg and several bottles left. So cheers.